day 34 of the shutdown. So tomorrow we'll make it 35. And then if we make it to Wednesday, it'll be the longest shutdown in the history of shutdowns. The record is 35 days back in 2018, 2019. You know what people are saying? People are saying that, and I've seen this a couple of different places, that the Democrats are going to vote to reopen the government after the New York mayoral election, which I think, is it on Tuesday, Joan? Can you, Sam, is it tomorrow? The New York mayoral election? Sam, can you look that up? When is that mayoral election in New York? Mamdani, of course, and President Trump was asked about Mamdani. But anyway, most of the conversation this weekend was about the ending of the SNAP benefits because of that shutdown.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Now, is it tomorrow? Okay, so now Brooke Rollins, of course, y'all know she's head of the USDA. She was on Fox News talking about how everyone was on the same page when Donald Trump came in, no SNAP benefits for illegal aliens, and to end the corruption. We all knew that. As a matter of fact, guess what? That's what we voted for. And so Brooke Rollins is, on Fox News, and she's talking about how they did find a lot of corruption, and there's a lot more.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with DOJ and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration.
Gee, I wonder why that is. SNAP benefits through the roof under Joe Biden. You had, of course, COVID, increased government benefits as well. But you also have the illegal aliens that came into our country where Joe Biden deemed them as lawfully present. We've talked about this ad nauseum now. Lawfully present. So they could get their benefits as well. And I love that, Brooke Rollins is saying, listen, we asked these states for information on who is getting these benefits. And guess what? Whole lot of states run by Democrats refused to actually send in that information, which tells you clearly, obviously, that they had something to hide.
Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But, Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. It is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
Yeah, that is Brooke Rollins. I was reading one person, and I know that this happens, but one person was talking about how, I think somebody sent me a link on this too, but where one person was buying like an EBT card from somebody else. And so if there's I'm just going to use round numbers. So if you've got like $1,000 on an EBT card, well, you can sell that for like $500 to somebody. So in other words, they get $1,000 worth of free stuff, but they're paying $500 for it. So they get, a free $500. And if you're the guy with the EBT card that you're selling, I mean, you get all kinds of cash for it. So in other words, there is, as Secretary Rollins says, there's a lot of corruption. By the way, do you want to know which states refused to send their data? What do all of these states have in common? California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, and of course, Washington, D.C. Now, just on the surface, I think that all of those are actually run, right, by Democrats. I mean, you've got, Michigan and Pennsylvania, which in the general election voted for Donald Trump. He won the battleground states. But ultimately, they are still run by Democrats, whether it's a Democrat governor. Some of these states, they may have a Republican-led state legislature. I really don't know on all of these. But the point is, California, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, certainly Massachusetts, you're talking about a bunch of states that, again, not to belabor the point, but I will, they are run by Democrats. And so then the question is, okay, well then what is it that they're trying to hide? I saw this headline from The Hill. You ready? And this is where some people are going to get mad, and that's fine. But this is the headline from The Hill. SNAP increase helped lift nearly 3 million people out of poverty, according to analysis. Okay. So it reads about how the SNAP benefits did lift 3 million people out of poverty, including kids. And I get that, but is it the role of the government to lift people out of poverty? I mean, I get that nobody wants children to starve, and that's what the left will hide behind, is that they're helping to feed the children. I get that, and I understand that. But to Brooke Rollins' case, the rampant abuse of SNAP benefits, the buying of crappy food, the perpetual and generational use of government benefits. Do you know what I think also increases people out of poverty? Capitalism and hunger. Those two things will lift people out of poverty absolutely. Because you get hungry, I mean, trust me, I know. You get hungry and you're going to get to work. We talked about this on Friday. If I wanted to have the phone lines absolutely flooded, I could ask people for their stories on how they lifted themselves up out of poverty with a little bit of gumption and a lot of hard work. So capitalism and hard work will lift you out of poverty far more than SNAP benefits. As a matter of fact, is my argument that SNAP will actually keep more people in poverty because they're happy with just, their EBT card and nothing else. And that's a problem because then you are complacent when in reality you could be doing a lot better. And again, I do understand, please understand, I do know that for the American people and for here in America, there are people that truly do need the help. And again, I get that. But the reality is that you got a lot of fraud, as you just heard Brooke Rollins say. There's a lot of fraud and a lot of people who, if they just put their mind to it, they would be able to get out of that generational cycle of being on SNAP benefits, and they could pull themselves up and do a heck of a lot better in their lives if they just went out and got 1 or 2 or 3 jobs like I did when I was a kid. Talked about how I had 5 part-time jobs when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. 5 part-time jobs, every darn one of them at minimum wage. But you know what? It led to bigger and better things, and that's the whole point. I say that, of course, knowing, yes, there are people, including a lot of children, that do need the SNAP benefits. I totally understand that. So I've always said that, conservatives, by and large, we're all on the same page, right? Help the people that need them, but get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. And honestly, go after the ones who brag about ripping off the system on TikTok. I would be willing to spend taxpayer dollars on a special Doge-type agency that just went after those people. Those are the people that you really want. Just, they are unabashed, willing to rip off. And when they say that they're ripping off the government, they're ripping off the taxpayers.
Well, and not just those people, but I saw videos the other day of people stealing because their EBT cards were declined and proud of it and posting it on social media.
Oh, yeah. that drives me nuts. You have all the people on the socials threatening to loot Walmart. The rumors that Walmart was going to close on November 1st. I don't believe that none of that happened, but there were people that did go in and just stole. I believe that the Democrats are really starting to feel the pressure. Even the usual suspects who are always protecting the Democrats are now turning on the Democrats. This is Martha Raddatz on ABC with... This is Democrat Tim Kaine. Listen to how he stumbles on this one.
It has been 33 days. Democrats chose not to support that short-term CR, which would have kept the government open. You could have negotiated. Now there's some pretty devastating impacts on people looking for SNAP, on air traffic controllers, on air travel. So what have the Democrats gained from this?
Well, I don't look at this as politics.
Of course you look at it as politics. You also notice there are like 3 or 4 seconds of just, oh crap thinking on the, from the mind of Tim Kaine, where he's silent. He's silent for like 3 or 4 seconds because he cannot believe that Martha Raddatz at ABC News actually dared to ask him a question about why it is that the Democrats have not voted to reopen the government. Hey, Joan, by the way.
Yep.
You're talking about Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah.
Possibly retiring?
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So Nancy Pelosi retires. You know who's going to take over is her daughter, Christine.
Yeah, right.
So the same party that has been screaming, no kings, no kings.
Uh-huh.
Well, here comes Christine Pelosi, who is, very deeply embedded in the San Francisco Democrat Party and the National Party as well. So, the critics are saying, well, isn't that a concern that this is some sort of a political dynasty that we're going to be seeing?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? They're going to do what they're going to do. And Christine Pelosi has always been considered the person that would take over for her mother there in San Francisco. Because, Christine Pelosi can screw up San Francisco just as good as her mother can.
Shut up.
Anyway. Hey, take the phones off hold. I want to just very quickly, before I play this audio bite from Donald Trump and talking about how he's not going to allow the Democrats to bully him into negotiating something that would not be good for the American people as far as the government shutdown. I'm going to play that audio. But coming up, Nashville schools are thinking about and debating and doing research on whether or not they should make the start of the school day for, I guess, the high schoolers later on. Because right now they, I guess, start at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I want to know from you, and I'm going to get into the whole story coming up, but I want to know from you if you think it's a good idea. 7 o'clock in the morning, is that too early for high school kids to start? A lot of people have been saying for a long time that is way too early. The kids are not getting their sleep and, their grades are suffering. They're irritable and all of these other things. And now there is this movement to have the kids start later on. By the way, 7 o'clock in the morning, as a start time at 7 a.m., that is one of the earliest in the country. So I think it's an interesting conversation to have. But I want to know from you, because I know that right now at 6:39 in the morning, there's a lot of you parents that are taking your kids to school that may have an opinion on this. Phone lines are open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Now, need some video and some audio. This is Donald Trump, and he was asked the question, why don't you, Mr. President, just open up the government? Why don't you negotiate with the Democrats? This is what the president said on 60 Minutes.
You have helped end these government shutdowns in the past when they came about, and you did it by bringing.
I'm very good at it,
you
but I'm not going to do it by. I'm not going to do it by extortion. I'm not going to do it by being extorted by the Democrats who have lost their way. Mm-hmm. There's something wrong with these people.
So then, what happens on November 15th when the troops don't get a paycheck?
Schumer is a basket case, and he has nothing to lose. He's become. I just left Japan. He's become a kamikaze pilot.
Sounds like it's not going to get solved, the shutdown.
It's going to get solved, yeah. Oh, it's going to get solved.
How?
We'll get it solved. Eventually, they're going to have to vote.
You're saying the Democrats will capitulate.
I think they have to. And if they don't vote, that's their problem. Now, I happen to agree with something else. I think we should do the nuclear option.
Yep, and that is a conversation that we had on Friday about Donald Trump, where he does want the nuclear option. A lot of Democrats are saying, or a lot of Republicans, I should say, are saying no way. But here we are. If you're just getting into the car, welcome on into Monday, November 3rd, day 34 of the government shutdown. If it remains shut down tomorrow, we will tie for the longest shutdown ever. And if we make it to Wednesday, then it will be the longest government shutdown at 36 days. It is 6:41 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So should metro high schools begin later? A lot of people saying, yes, they should. Right now, the high school begins at 7:06. This is, I believe this was WSMV. Listen. Let's see here. Hold on. It's okay, everybody. People are calling up about this, by the way. Sam?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 615-737-9986. 615-737 WWTN. So this is what they're saying about should the schools start later.
For the first time in over a decade, Metro Schools is reviewing start and end times for schools. In collaboration with the Mayor and Board of Education, they will be conducting a study that consists of research and community input.
All right, so what they're doing, they're asking, the parents and folks as to whether or not school should be pushed back. Right now, it does start at 7:05. Some parents have been pushing this for a while now. The reason why these high school kids, by the way, start so early, apparently, is because, one of the reasons anyway, is because they don't want a bunch of high school kids out on the road when the school buses are running.
Over the last few years, Metro Schools parent Jeffrey Berry has been advocating for later start times. He did his own poll that found over 90% of parents supported it.
It's going to be better for our kids, for our families, for our education to start school later. If it's an hour later, great. That's a big improvement compared to where we are now.
Currently, Metro high schools start at 7:05, which is among the earliest in the nation.
7:05. Now, Wilson County, just to give you some perspective, Wilson County High School, they start at 8:30 a.m. They get out at 3:30. Rutherford County, they begin at 8:30 in the morning. Williamson County, I thought this was actually interesting. Williamson County doesn't have a uniform start time. The earliest Williamson County begins is at 7:40 a.m. The latest is 8:15. So now some people, they actually want the Metro Nashville to start at 8:30 or later. So 7 o'clock seems a little early, but starting at 8:30 or later, that actually sounds pretty late.
You have to have a balance between parents who have to work and students who need to go to schools. I think the middle school start time is very, very late.
Middle school's 7:50 for most, some 8 a.m. in Metro Nashville. Now, you heard that one parent say it is a balance. Some parents do have to work early, so it makes it easier for them if the kids have to be there earlier. Here's what the experts say. High school kids should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night, so the American Academy of Pediatrics says it is best to start high school either at 8 a.m. or 8:30. They say the later start times, the more they see improved scores if the start time is beyond 8 a.m. They say that they see a reduction in depression, anxiety, mood swings, and irritability. Even they say fewer car accidents as well. But then you have some parents, right, who have these work schedules, and so they need to be at work early on so that early start time does work well for them. You know, one of the things that I've noticed, and Joan, I don't know if you've seen this or not. No, you don't have little ones. I live in Wilson County, and I love our Wilson County bus drivers, and I love living in Wilson County.
But I feel a but is coming.
What is going on with the buses? Like Riker he's in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And it's like every day we have no idea whether or not he's going to have a bus that's going to, shuttle him home. It might be an hour late. It might be 2 hours late. They may just at 1 o'clock decide, the bus isn't going to run today.
Whoa.
What do you do if you're a parent in that situation? Now, we're lucky enough that Amy works from home, or, I can go get him and, because I'm off at 9, theoretically. So, it's crazy. But one of the things that they say is that for high school kids, the less kids on the road, the less high school kids driving, the better it is, because there's less traffic as the buses are trying to make their way home. So that's one of the reasons some say while they start the high schools earlier, is because then the high school kids are on the road at like 2 o'clock and they're out of the area and hopefully home by 2:30 or 3 when the buses then go on the road. So let's see what people say. What were you going to say, Joan, real quick?
So they're doing the staggered start times so that everybody is on the road at different times.
Exactly.
But they've also got a problem with a shortage of drivers.
I know.
So,
I know.
They need to solve that first.
Yes, they do. Yeah. And God bless our school bus drivers.
Yeah.
Riker's school bus driver loved her to death last year. And school bus drivers do amazing things. I'm not blaming the school bus drivers.
Right.
They don't have enough people to drive the buses. This is Perry calling from Robertson County. Hey, Perry, go ahead.
Good morning, Dan. I don't have children in school, but I have friends with children in schools up in Robertson County. And when an elementary kid is getting on a school bus at 5:30 in the morning, something needs to change about school scheduling. I know your phones are blowing up, so I'm out of here. Have a good day, brother.
All right, thank you very much.
There's in my humble opinion, there's a problem with the expectation that our kids are going to get up and go to school on time. Because why? They have too many games to play at night?
Well, listen, okay, Joan. So to wait, because you're right. If your kid needs 9 hours of sleep,
put him to bed on time. You're the
and
parent.
they got to get up at 5, then send them to bed at 9. So they get home at 3 o'clock, homework, dinner, bed.
Yeah.
Really, it's not that hard.
Trey in Franklin, Kentucky.
Trey is in Franklin, Kentucky on Red Eye. I'm sorry, Jesus. On WTN. That's where I'm at. Hey, Trey, go ahead.
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
We're okay.
I know we're talking about high school children here, right?
Yes.
Not elementary and middle school. Mm-hmm. Well, when you're in high school, that is your last option to get your life straight before life actually starts. So this is all practice for real world. And, a lot of it comes down to the parents. We're not putting our children to bed on time. We're not making them focus. But, this is real world practice, guys, for forever.
Yeah, and Trey, you do bring up a good point. We could go down the road of, coddling these kids, which is obviously a big problem. In my estimation, there's a lot of coddling of our kids these days. And I remember when I was a kid, my mom had to get up as a single parent. She had to get up real early. I remember getting up and it still being dark and, forcing us to take a bath and do all that kind of stuff. And it does. I believe that kind of an experience as a kid does instill a certain amount of gumption of, go get them kind of an attitude when those kids become adult. Now, Paula is in Nashville. Paula, what do you think about all this?
Hey, Dan. I have a unique perspective because I used to be a school bus driver. I have driven these kids in Nashville. And 100% the reason they have this staggering is because there is a shortage of school bus drivers. And it is not the pay. It is the kids. These kids are so out of control. And the bus driver can do nothing about it. The kids know that the school is going to do nothing about it. I've been there. I've done it. And that's why I get crazy every time I hear them talking about we need more money, we need more money. No, the teachers are doing their job. The teachers' hands are tied. These kids are out of control, and that is 100% the reason they have to stagger these start times is because these bus drivers are doing 3 routes every morning and 3 routes every afternoon.
Wow. Paula, is it easier? Let me ask you this, because you used to be a bus driver.
Yep.
Are they more difficult the older they get, or is it the younger ones that are worse?
Middle school is the worst. I mean, and now the high school can be a little too rowdy. A lot of the kids, by the time they've reached 11th, 12th grades, they get on the bus, they sit down, they put their earbuds in, They go to sleep, whatever. Middle school is absolutely insane.
All right, Paula.
I mean, and they're cussing.
Okay, we got it. Cursing and throwing. Do you ever do spitwads? When I was a kid on the bus, we used to do spitwads.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
Through a straw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why they banned straws in my school. Let's see here. Amber is in Fairview on WTN. Hey, Amber, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually a middle school metro teacher. I teach 7th grade.
Okay, what do you think about all this?
I think high school needs to stay at 7:05. It is getting them ready for college, the real world. They need to be, right now, middle school starts at 8:55 and doesn't get out till 3:55. Anybody who does sports after that in middle school, a lot of times, because I help with books, do not get home till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. They need to start middle school after high school and then elementary students at the 8:55 time.
Do you think, Amber, one of the things that they say is that if the high school starts later, that would improve scores?
No, it won't.
Because the parents just aren't getting them to bed on time?
Correct. I've got middle schoolers that say they're up to 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning on their phones, on their iPads.
Wow. Well, that's Amber, thank you very much for the call. That's what we were talking about before, where it's like, listen, the bedtime is, if you got to be at school at 7 a.m., do the math, man. All you got to do is do the math. If you got to get to school at 7, you got to get up at 6, 8 hours, 6 a.m., that means 8:30, 9 o'clock for bedtime. And how many of those kids in high school are actually going to bed on time? And that's Amber, and somebody else called earlier and said, yeah, you know what? This is preparation for college. Kirk is last call on this from Murfreesboro on WTN. Hey, Kirk.
Hey, how you doing today?
We're good.
I gotta say that it really falls down onto the parents of not going to bed on time, because I grew up for elementary school, middle school, and high school. We all rode the same bus, small little town, but we were all on the bus no later than 7 o'clock at school. By 7:20 we started. But you know what my parents did? They made me go to bed at 9 o'clock. It didn't matter if I was elementary, middle school, or high school. You're in the bedroom at 9 o'clock. You didn't wake up. There was one time that I didn't wake up for high school, and I tell you, my mother gave me an ice bath first thing in the morning, slept in that bed the next day. I said, I will never
Your
wake
mom,
up late.
wait. Your mom gave you did you say an ice bath?
Ice bath, bucket ice bath. Woke me straight up, and I went straight to school. And sleeping in that bed the next night, ice cold again still, you didn't mess around. You knew that you had to get up, and, that's what parents used to do. They used to take care of their kids. And, I mean, we grew up, and
Wow. All right, Kirk, I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Wow.
You ever pull thank you, Kirk, for calling. You ever pull the ice bath?
No way.
How about you, Sam? You ever do an ice bath?
No, but if you've ever wondered if a 5'4" woman could pull a 6'1" grown teenager out of his bed by his ankle, yeah.
Yeah. In my house when I was a kid, we had the Atari, right? And my dad got so mad at us one time, he went in and he unplugged the Atari, unplugged it from the TV and took it out. That's what my dad did.